Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Cordumt and in this video we are going to review Vaporum. It's a game I just finished like an hour ago and I just want to share some thoughts about my experience with the game, how I felt about it, just as a quick review as I like to do on all the playthroughs I upload. So for this game I'm gonna start with the positives, of course. And one of the main ones is the atmosphere. This is probably the main factor that attracted me to the game, even before I had ever played it. And it is the reason why I bought the game and decided to give it a go. So the whole dark steampunk dungeon crawler style is something that I personally like, and playing the game did not disappoint. So the whole atmosphere of the game is extremely well made and really does pass on the feeling of exploring something mysterious and scary with all the steampunk elements nicely present. It makes for an immersive experience and it outdid my expectations in that regard. So, very nice setting, extremely well done. As to the gameplay, Vaporum's gameplay, it may not be for everyone's taste, okay? But I should note that if you're someone who hasn't tried this type of gameplay before and are curious about it, give it a go. You might just well like it. But okay, so it's not only well made, it's also quite refreshing in our current day and age. So it's not often you will find a game with a gameplay such as this one. The most recent example I can think of is Legend of Grimrock, which is also a very good game. But other than that, nothing really comes to memory except the old school games like Eye of the Beholder. So you have the grid movement, which is, well, mainly why I say that this may not be for everyone's taste. But the grid movement feels very nice and fluid. The combat is fun and engaging, and it incorporates the movement very nicely into the fights. Because if you watch some of this, or haven't really tried it yet, a lot of your fights may seem like you're dancing with the enemy in order to actually defeat them properly. But yeah, so in that regard, what I also wanted to say is that whether you go melee, whether you go for ranged combat with shotguns, pistols, rifles, whatever, or you mainly focus on tech gadgets, which is what I did in my playthrough, they all feel great to play. As for the exploration, this is a very big part of Vaporum. I mean, this is a dungeon crawler, so naturally you will be exploring a lot of dungeons, and this game does not fail to deliver. There is the obvious and natural exploration you need to do in order to complete the levels, but there are also many other interesting things that will make you want to explore every single corner. So there's hidden loot, there are new puzzles to find, and a lot of amazing secrets that just leaves you excited to find them and see what they hold. As for the enemies in Vaporum are varied. There's a decent amount of different enemies in the game, and they all have their own unique abilities. Some are faster, some are slower, some hit hard, some are just annoying, some are there just to block you, some have gadgets of their own, a lot of different stuff that makes them unique. Now, there isn't anything, oh my god, industry changing stuff here, but the way that the enemies work, the way they are combined in order to make for interesting fights, because the game sometimes presents the fights to you in a gauntlet or an arena of sorts. So this makes for interesting fights, just mixing them up. And also how the variety is nicely spread out throughout the levels always makes it exciting to find a new enemy and learn what they do and how to defeat them. So enemies are nicely done, decent variety, and they are fun to fight. Another positive, is the gear and the skills that you have available in the game. So Vaporum mainly suggests three distinct ways of approaching the game. You can either go for an offensive combat focused build. You can go for a tanky integrity build. So integrity is how they call their HP and tankiness, let's say. Or you can go for a tech gadget build. Now, this is something that the player chooses very early on in the game, and it makes the base for what you can then build upon. This does not, however, lock you into any single style. You can start with a tanky exo rig. So the exo rigs are like the starting points. So you can either choose a tanky exo rig, a combat exo rig, or a tech exo rig. But as an example, you can start with a tanky exo rig and then build something offensive on top of it. For instance, in my playthrough, I started with a tech exo rig because I thought that the idea of techy stuff in a game such as this was fitting, and I liked it quite a bit. But yeah, in my playthrough, I started with a tech exo rig, but actually the beginning of my game was mostly combat based. So finding maces, warhammers, pistols, as it seemed like the most efficient way at the time of dealing with whatever challenge I found. And even my earlier level up circuit choices, which these are the skills you gain when you level up, were for a combat oriented build. So in my case, I went for hammers and shields. And only then, later in the game, only then did I actually start investing in tech, which was when I found more useful gadgets and just more gadgets overall. And at no point did I actually feel like I had committed a horrible mistake because at the start I had chosen tech and then I was liking something else. In fact, I actually found that my hammer and shield very nicely complemented my techy gadgets in combat. The other thing to mention in this same topic is that the gear you find is interesting, it's varied, and it provides very different styles of playing. Your skills, even though they are somewhat simple, so you have a lot of circuits, these are the skills, you have a lot of circuits to choose from. They're not very complex choices, okay? They're actually a simple level up tree, but they complement the playstyles very well. Also, touching this theme of the gear, another positive is the items in the game. So in Vaporum, there are a lot of items to discover. Some are in obvious locations, others are behind puzzles, and there are even those super secret ones that are oh so amazing. This is a big pro in the review, a big positive, I should say, because it's something that many games fail to get right. Vaporum actually makes it fun and exciting to find a new container. So like a chest or a cupboard or a drawer or something or other. You find a hidden chest behind some sort of secret or puzzle and it makes you actually feel excited. The game doesn't just drown you in items like so many others do. They are nicely spread out in a fun and balanced way. So the items you find are also actually interesting and useful. They're not just another thing to pick up and throw away or discard in some way or other. This may seem like something that is subtle, but it does matter a lot to keep the game interesting and also the whole atmosphere going. Because they could have easily just given the player an abundance of overpowered items and then, I mean, everything would just lose its interest. So this is a nice positive for the game. As to the lore, the little pieces of lore you find as you go about the game are a nice touch. So the notes, the audiographs, stuff you just find in the scenery, it's well done. So this is, once again, nothing industry changing, okay? Many games do this sort of thing, but it is something that was nicely done and deserves credit. It's not just a bunch of random text scattered about the levels. It is something that slowly and gradually gives you insight as to who you are, what this place is that you are actually exploring, this Arx Vaporum, and about the people that work there. They also provide useful hints to approach certain situations, as well as make you aware of possible secrets. Once more, this is something that is simple, but it is very well done and adds to the experience. The last positive worth mentioning in my mind is the map. So this is a topic I don't actually think I can accurately translate into words. It's mostly something that I felt while using this feature, I guess. Probably for some of you or a lot of you, it's just your typical game map, but I actually liked it quite a bit. It provides a clean, readable interface. It's simple to use, and you have the ability to put down your own notes. And it's actually quite incredible how something so simple helped me out so immensely. I was lost for a great deal of my playthrough, and once I actually started paying attention to the map and actually starting leaving notes, it was just a different game. Okay, so it's very valuable thing to have. You also have the option to play the game without the map. This is something you choose before actually starting a new game. And I think it says just use pen and paper. And for those of you that have chosen to walk this path, may the Lord hold you in His mercy and my utmost respect for your brave souls. I think it can be for a very interesting experience, but it should be quite difficult. And now we come into the negatives of the game. So in my mind, there are only two negative things worth mentioning in Vaporum. The first one, and the most noticeable one, is the difficulty to see some of the interactables. So I'm talking about buttons, levers, wheels, gears, whatever. This is something that you find throughout the game, and it isn't always easy to actually see them in the screen, okay? So, for example, secrets are a very cool part of the game, okay? They make you happy to find them and excited to see what they hold. This is actually a very positive thing about the game, as I mentioned previously. The problem is, sometimes they are accessible by some sort of interactable, which I just mentioned before, so some button, a lever, wheel, etc., that is so hidden, so small, that sometimes you just find them by sheer luck, okay? And at least I know that I found some of the secrets this way. I was just stumbling about and, oh, what's this? A button, and lo and behold, I have discovered the secret. Now, keep in mind, I don't mind that they are hard to find. That's what makes them secrets after all. I just wish there was some kind of indicator or clue that makes you actually look in certain places instead of just randomly stumbling upon them. This is something that is nicely done for some of the secrets, okay? So some of them have these cues, such as in the lore or a discrete visual cue or an audiograph, but it's something that is not done for all of them. So this is not only a problem for the secrets, which you can kind of excuse because, okay, it's a secret, it's optional, you don't need it to actually progress through the game, but it's also a problem for straight up linear game progression. As simply by failing to notice a button in a dark room, and this is something that has happened to me, and that button would just happen to open the door that you need, you spend 45 minutes wandering around the map thinking there's some secret way about that door, or you missed something along the way, only to discover later on that you've just been wasting time. Okay, so you feel like an idiot. You feel blind for not actually noticing the button in the first place. But yeah, sometimes the scenery is dark, and that makes it for... It makes it so it's not easy to see stuff that should be kind of obvious. Okay? And for the final negative, so as I said, only two, is the voice acting. And this is mostly a nitpick, okay? This is something that you only find, well, not only, but that you mostly find in the audiographs, which contain lore throughout the game. And you will notice that some voice actors sound great, while others feel, especially at sometimes, they feel very weird. Um, but yeah. So as an overall score, if I had to score this game, I would say this is a 9 out of 10. Okay, so in its own style, it's a very good game. It's one that I would very easily recommend, even to people that haven't tried this style of gameplay before. Okay, and I do recognize it's not for everyone. But I enjoyed the game greatly, and I feel a lot of you guys would benefit from this experience as well. So I'm very excited for the sequel that came out late last year, which is Vaporum Lockdown. And that is a game I will definitely play sometime in the future. And I'll also upload it to the channel, of course. So yeah, that's it for this review, guys. I hope you have enjoyed the series. It was definitely an awesome experience to play it. If you're just checking out the review, there's the full playthrough for Vaporum in this channel, which I welcome you all to watch. I think it's a good series to watch, but I'm biased, of course. And it makes for some funny and scary moments. Other than that, there are also playthroughs of other awesome games in the channel for you guys to enjoy. If you have any thoughts on the game, the series, the review, or you just want to say hi, please leave a comment. I'm uploading daily, so if you want to get notified when new stuff comes out, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And I hope to see you all in another video. Until then, stay safe, everyone.